G'day, Bitcoin. What a grand and glorious day. Bitcoin is absolutely pumped. And you know why? Michael Saylor, the GOAT, has bought more Bitcoin, $1.1 billion of Bitcoin to be sure. And he's got another, $900 million to go. Breaking news. Elon Musk calls Australia fascist. We're going to dive into that because free speech is under attack. When they get rid of free speech, next comes your freedom to transact. Obviously, Bitcoin fixes this. So let's dive straight into it. This has blown up, and the Australian government been pushing hardcore back against Mr. Elon Musk, the last bastion of free speech. Lucky there is a tool. That tool is Bitcoin. We can just opt out. We can get out of the system. We also have a $420,000 Bitcoin price prediction, but we'll get straight into it. Let's just dive in to the freedom of speech that we're all fighting for. And this has come about through this misinformation, disinformation bill. We have some pretty cool politicians fighting back against this. The Libertarian Party are fighting back really well. Jordan Ditloff for Senator did a really awesome space the other night with it in regards to when Bitcoin came up a couple of times, which is really great. I'm in conversations with Ruddock as well, talking about this. To be able to get your right to be able to self-custody happening here in Australia, this is very important. Reach out to your politicians. But let's dive straight into what's going on and how Bitcoin can fix this situation that is getting very serious, very dire here in Australia. And just so you don't think I'm fear-mongering, there is an option, there is an exit, there's an escape route, there is a plan B that we can take. And we've also got a little bit of time with this. It's not a done deal. It's not done until it's done. But crackpot, news.com.au, Elon Musk calls Australia fascist. Billionaire Elon Musk hit out at Australia online, calling our government fascist, and he's already been slammed. This is where some of this comes from. They're desperate to muzzle you again. This time, no COVID face nappies needed. This by Valerie. We'll go back to the start.
Now, the government will introduce legislation to govern social media companies who fail to stop the spread of seriously harmful misinformation. Under proposed laws, the Australian Communication and Media Authority, ACMA is the acronym, will be given powers allowing them to fine social media companies for failing to remove misinformation.
No.
Media companies and content related to comedy or satire will be exempt, as will religious groups. The Albanese government also flagged a social media ban for young Australians, but has not identified a cut-off age. The opposition claims Labor's plan to roll out the legislation by the end of the year is not realistic.
Good. Let's hope they fail in their mission. And of course, this video is all satire. If you can smash the like button, hit subscribe. If we vibe, you do get the Bitcoin news with the fast facts. Now, let's actually get into the fast facts with what's going on. So this is Rennick. He's pushing back. This misinformation bill is something else. Fancy trying to censor criticism in the banking system and the financial markets. What's so concerning is how on earth did this clause even get into the bill? Have the private banks and superannuation funds infiltrate the government, of course, to such an extent that they're now dictating what people can say. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Let's all laugh about haha satire. Anyway, fascism is generally defined as when corporations are more powerful than government. And based on this proposal, it would appear that in Australia this is certainly the case. The banks and superannuation funds are even more powerful than I thought. Governments are clearly no longer interested in serving the people. Little bit of food for thought. Back into the positive news. $270 billion asset manager founder Rick Edelman says Bitcoin will be at 420 by 2030. Quite a lot of people on X are calling that extremely bullish. Jack Mallers like 250,000 to 1 million this cycle. It really depends how fast they ramp up this money printer. We're going to dive into the rate cuts happening all around the world. ECB has cut rates. Australia is soon to follow. Canada soon to follow. US talking about maybe a 50 basis points. But into the signal, Michael Saylor always bringing the signal for all of us. He just acquired like just a lazy 18,300 Bitcoin for $1.11 billion at about $60,408 per Bitcoin. We'll dive into the price very shortly on day of recording. He doesn't care what the top is. Doesn't care what the bottom is. When he's got the cash, he buys Bitcoin, and that's why I approach it. Not to this extent. I wish we had this purchasing power, but a bastion, maybe a beacon of light, a bit of hope in a world gone mad. And they've achieved a Bitcoin yield of 4.4% QTD and 17% year-to-date, quarter-to-date, year-to-date. As of the 9th of the 12th, 2024, they hold 244,800 Bitcoin acquired for $9.45 billion at an average cost price 38,585. Did see Peter Schiff getting in here. Averaging up is going to crush MicroStrategy when Bitcoin collapses. I'm sure you'll keep on taking on more debt to buy even more Bitcoin on the way down. By the time Bitcoin breaks below 30k, I'm sure your average price and even larger position will be over 40k. Dude's absolutely absurd. We do need to remember Peter Schiff's wife send the signal she is buying Bitcoin for their household. Maybe Peter Schiff's wife, obviously Saylor, is wearing the pants in the relationship. Very talented musician as well. He's definitely punching up, but little bit more entertainment for all of us. Anyway, MicroStrategy, they're only up $5.1 billion on their Bitcoin investment, so it definitely is playing out for people that can see the long term. BlackRock, they also did $1.1 billion in trading. That was on Friday. Now, Australia's Prime Minister. Let's get back to the misinformation, disinformation bill. Absolute gold coming out of Australia. It's sort of like how Reagan didn't get the gold Olympic medal. This deserves an Olympic medal as well for the performance that's coming out. Anyway, I'll leave it for you to judge, to decide.
Social media has a social responsibility. If Mr. Musk doesn't understand that, that says more about him than it does about my government. Well, social media...
Wrong. The government, they're designed to censor and control, and that's it. That's all they've been doing, and they're doing a pretty effective job. We have X, we've got this platform where we can talk, and we may not agree, we may not disagree, but that's the point of free speech, to be able to have open, honest conversation, to be able to have discord with each other. And maybe the reason they put in that clause about the bank into the misinformation, disinformation bill, which is super weird, it's super strange. And maybe Elon Musk did or didn't go about it the right way. It looks like he used the correct definition of the word fascist in regards to it, but it's an old video. And this is about a lady that tried to get cash out of a bank here in Australia, and they just didn't have it. It's minute 44. I'm not going to play all of it, but probably the first 20 seconds.
In Queensland tonight after a local woman rocked up to her bank to withdraw cash, only to be told they didn't have any. Taryn Compton wanted to grab some notes to pay a tradie, but when she got to the ANZ ATM, she realised she'd forgotten her EFTPOS card. When she asked the teller for the money instead, she was told the bank doesn't carry cash.
And Taryn Compton.
The joys of a cashless society. Thankfully, we have digital cash, which is Bitcoin. Also digital gold, the best store of value, the best form of money that's ever been engineered, and it is freedom money for many, many reasons. We've dove into a couple of senators here. We've got Senator Matt Canavan here. Australia's proposed misinformation laws protect the banks over the rights of Australians to speak freely, which is absurd. If these laws pass, you won't be able to say anything that causes harm to public confidence in the banking system. So under these laws, those who call out the recklessness of mortgage-backed securities before the global financial crisis would have been censored. Why does the Labor Party think that our banks have earned the right to be immune from criticism? Absolutely insane. The misinformation laws are to protect them, not to be able to protect you. We do see Elon Musk just picking more and more fights. And good or bad thing, I don't know. He's already gone to war with Julie, the Safety Commission there. Is this going to play in our favour or not? Maybe it brings awareness to it, and it is going to help us out to be able to stay free. But far left fascists love censorship. Australian PM hits back after the fascist quip. And with this misinformation, disinformation bill, I wonder if we're still going to be able to call this out. Surprise government spending, blowout, hit $70 billion. In the US, obviously, $36 trillion in debt. $70 billion doesn't seem like a lot. For Australia's economy, for $70 billion just to be blown out, absolutely massive, absolutely huge. Directly related to the banks, absolutely not. but the banks and the RBA, or the RBA and the Australian government are working hand in hand together. But it's not misinformation. It's to protect the children, of course.
It's very important for Australians. It's important for our security when we've got our top spy saying that mis and disinformation poses a threat to our democracy. We also have the head of defence saying the same thing, our regulators saying the same thing.
Government.
And we know that some 75% of Australians are concerned about the harmful impacts of mis and disinformation.
I'm not sure if that statement there is misinformation or disinformation. 75% of Australians are concerned about it. No, they're not. Maybe 75% of people in a woke-ass city are worried, or they get people. Go talk to the everyday Australian, which I have been doing. They're not worried in the slightest. They think people should take 100% self-responsibility and choose what they do or do not engage with. Australia's a strong country with strong men and women. We don't need this woke agenda going on, in my opinion. Yes, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but ideology is costing us $1,000. Power price surge to 43%. Price surge of 43%. It's absolutely insane. The costs from the government, and to be able to call that out, their reckless spending, that's going to be misinformation, mis and disinformation shortly as well. John Ruddock just chiming in with Elon Musk as well. Senator Alex Antic, I might save this for the end. What I do want to do though, Alex, is bring up, we'll just go CoinGecko. Why not? And see where Bitcoin's at. We're over 60,000. We hit that on Friday, and we've been holding strong. We've been holding nice. So this video is pre-recorded. I will be leaving Paradise here in Warburton, Victoria. Glorious little place to just be able to unwind. We had hail, yesterday. It was snowing at the top of the mountain yesterday, and it actually is pretty bloody cold, if you ask me. But anyway, getting into the price, which is warming up incredibly, $60,169 time of recording. Really tight range over the last 24 hours. A low 59,600, a high 60,279, like $600 spread. It's pretty remarkable. Bitcoin's coiling up. By the time you see us, we're either at $58,000, or if we're above 62, we're heading on our way to 64, which is the next level. If we can get above 64, hold it, we may break out and get a couple of new all-time highs in the coming weeks. If not, 58, 62 is where we're going to consolidate for the rest of September. So it either pumps or it dumps or it goes sideways, and all we need to do is buy, stack and chill. At least that's the game plan that I am following now. September in general's a pretty negative month, about 7% down on average if we do get a green September though. And history is to repeat, which it doesn't always. It never actually repeats. It only rhymes. The next 3 months could be all green. So we'll see. Either way, I think it's looking pretty good, and we are getting into rate cuts pretty shortly. We'll come back, Mr. Alex Antic. We'll move on from Australia. John Ruddock, they're just lying bastards, pretty much summing it up there. But it's pretty interesting. Toby Cunningham, 99.99% of people on Earth don't know that the unelected private Federal Reserve has a 0% reserve requirement. Yes, you heard that correctly, 0%. So this is with the Fed in 2020, with the scandemic that went on. They cut reserve requirements all around the world to very low or non-existent, and maybe that's where this misinformation, disinformation bill putting the section in about the banks has come from, is they don't want to bring awareness to this. Either way, whether the banks are stable or not, it's really beside the point. They're going to print money forever. They're going to debase the money supply. We can just opt out. We can go into something that actually works as a store of value. That is inherently the scarcest monetary asset on planet Earth, which is Bitcoin. And we don't need to worry about what reserves they may or may not have if we're subject to a bank run or not. We can just opt out. We can just move to the system, thankfully. Norwegian politics, comedy gold. Politicians, they fall into the Cobra effect trap once again. The mayor chaired the shutdown of the controversial Bitcoin mining data center Go Woke Go Broke. But now residents are facing an unexpected consequence, a hefty bill increase. Locals will now have to pay an extra $200 to $300 per year due to increased costs to grid fees without the big mining customer in the mirror of this remote municipality. Comments. We work continuously to facilitate the industrial activity we want in the municipality. It may not be something we can solve in just 1 month, but we are dedicated to promoting business development every single day, which is political jargon for it will never likely happen. The celebration ended the moment they got their first bill. You can't make this stuff up. Bitcoin, it's absolutely amazing. Not only does it fix the uncertainty around banks, bank runs, banks having our deposits, the money there, government spending, debasing the currency, it also makes people's electricity cheaper, and it incentivizes those people to be able to protect the Bitcoin network at all costs. It's absolutely amazing. So either for or against it, those who are against it definitely suffer. For someone that calls the Australian government fascist, he does come out with some pretty bizarre stuff and says he doesn't think about Bitcoin all too often, but sometimes it's better to see what they're doing, not what they say. With Elon Musk, maybe a little bit of both, and not buy into everything that he says. He does work with some very big government agencies, spy agencies as well. Is it really the bastion of free speech? It's the best that we have for the most people. At the moment, obviously, Nostra is better. The audience isn't there for a public town square. It's going pretty good. But they do own $500 million worth of Bitcoin. Just an FYI, if we have all forgotten. My prediction is going to come out this year or next year back in favor of Bitcoin. Elon Musk in some way will endorse it. Couple of signals why. But Tony, the Bitcoin Way, channel partner, Tony and the team, best cybersecurity experts, they are putting out a warning here. As a long-time Apple user and supporter who worked under Steve Jobs, it's painful to see the mess the company has been under Tim Cook. Bud-ridden software, unethical business practices, it's starting to feel like Microsoft. If you're thinking about buying a new iPhone, watch this first. At Sean Clark, 911, SEANCLARKE, 911. On X, if you would like to read that post and watch that video that Tony has put up. If you've got any concerns about your Bitcoin, if you're just not sleeping easy at night, or you just want a whole security check for your Bitcoin setup, it's super easy. Reach out to the Bitcoin Way, thebitcoinway.com, link at the top of the YouTube video description. Otherwise, reach out to them next. First 30 minutes is free. They can make sure everything is secure, you're protected, you can sleep easy. This is multi-generational wealth we are dealing with, and you need to think about it that it's worth 10 or 20x. We're at $60,000. If we go, or when we go to $1 million, in my opinion, and I do not think it's going to happen this cycle, we maybe not even the next cycle, but when we go there, that's pretty much a 20x from here. You need to think about Bitcoin at that price. If your security is not up to date now, do something about it today. Don't lose, and please don't leave it on the exchange or the ETF. And obviously last week we talked about Ledger. People were asking me, hey, you say get it off the exchange, don't use Ledger, what should you use? Please do your own research, but something to start with. Cold Card, absolutely epic, or Foundation devices, open source, air-gapped, Bitcoin only software is the three minimums to be able to start with, and then go from there, or reach out to the Bitcoin Way if you need help. And last thing on them, they never touch your keys, they never touch your coins, they cannot control anything, and they don't ask you for any KYC information. And if you're looking at getting KYC or KYC free Bitcoin, maybe talk to them and see what they can come up with to help you out. Now, Lovers Bitcoin posting this. Elon Musk trolling Department of Government Efficiency. This is Doge. Michael Saylor. Banish tedious complexity. BTC. Let's effing go. Bill Gates is sort of in line with the misinformation, disinformation bill. He wants to censor free speech, especially in regards to vaccines. That's me paraphrasing. That's my takeaway. We'll listen from him, so he can say his own words. The first part's just a little bit of music.
We should have free speech, but if you're inciting violence, if you're causing people not to take vaccines, where are those boundaries that even the U.S. Should, have rules? And then if you have rules, what is it? Is there some AI that encodes those rules because you have billions of activity, and if you
Sure, it's going to be AI. Who's programming the AI? Who do you reckon? It'll be them, their team as well. Can we get a little bit more light as it gets a little bit dark here the evening? My wife's in front of the fire, so it's better that I don't film in there. Maybe this is a little bit disconcerting. It's like being around a campfire and telling ghost stories. But anyway, Max Kaiser, just in regards to the Trump's coin purchasing power is mathematically guaranteed to go to zero, effectively to zero against Bitcoin. It's centralized garbage, no different than any other fiat money garbage. It'll get hacked. It's not unconfiscatable or uncensorable. That's why we're here in Bitcoin, for FU money, to be able to break free, to be able to exit the matrix. And let us know, are you moving towards that? Are you going on the hero's journey with Bitcoin? Or are you just here for number go up technology? And it's fine, either. I'm just curious. For me, I came in here for the greed and the self-development. The growth has been absolutely incredible through it. So shout out for all the comrades that have been putting in the proof of work. Now, in regards to rate cuts, ECB, they cut their rate cuts by 25 basis points. We've got a video from Christine Lagarde, Opti's ex-wife.
At the incoming information, it confirms our previous projections, and it comforts us in our confidence that we are heading towards our target in a timely manner. So, during the course of 25 in particular, inflation will decline towards our 2% target. When you look at the incoming
These people are brilliant. Aren't they the greatest marketers? And I wonder if that will be classed as mis and disinformation. It will get to 2% in 2025. My opinion is no, but that's only an opinion. It's not an expert statement that is going to happen. If I was a betting man, which it wasn't, I'd put money in it that it won't happen. But I don't know. I'll let you decide. Have they fixed it? Are they good? Are they in control? Maybe, maybe not. So Europe, they cut rates by 25 basis points again. Canada, 0.75 rate cut. UK, 25% rate cut. China, 25 basis point rate cut, not 25%. Denmark, 0.25 basis points. And the Fed is next. JP Morgan last month forecast a 1% cut by November. I think it's at like 1.5% by the end of the year. US Treasury, they lost $380 billion. They had a deficit. They didn't lose it. They just had a deficit in August. And it's fairly similar to the Australian government. They're $70-odd billion. Now, good takeaway as we start to get towards the tail end of this glorious story that is Bitcoin, that is this freedom money. Hodl naught. We grow stronger and more capable through challenges and difficulties. People who always choose maximum safety and minimum risk will never grow. They will wither away. From Hodl naught, I think he knows a thing or two about putting up with challenges and difficulty. And he's grown a hell of a lot through that process. Now, Fred, gold, it's at 2,600. Well done. We're days away from rate cuts. BlackRock has shifted from ESG to BTC. 60 days from now, regardless of who wins, we're in a monetary printing super cycle with a new Bitcoin ETF. All-time highs are back on the way. And the Fed, the AI, potential 50 basis point rate cut. The chance of the Federal Reserve up in its highly anticipated September rate cut from 25 to 50 basis points to now almost 50-50. Due to be announced September 18, the decision remained a close call according to some officials. Additionally, former New York Fed President Bill Dudley, who remains highly influential, said in an event in Singapore there's a strong case for a 50 basis point reduction. Let's go. We are at block height 861,398. Obviously, this video is pre-recorded. Let us know on the time chain. Calendar.com what block height you are watching this for. What is the Bitcoin price? Are we at 58 or are we at 62 on our way to 64? 60,130 time of filming, 1,663 Satoshis per USD. Last week we had 1,800, ladies and gentlemen, and it has gone down. Did you buy the dip? Do you continue to buy the dip? Do you buy the green days? That's where real legends are made. But if you're just buying the red days to be able to get your conviction for the big drops, the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 days, I think you're in pretty good standing. On that note, it's been a pleasure. I am traveling right now. I am on an aeroplane going home. Major podcast I'll be filming with Dr. Sean Baker tomorrow, the world's carnivore expert, the authority on the carnivore diet, hardcore Bitcoiner, 11 world records. The guy puts a non-stop proof of work. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comment section below for us. Or tag me on X with any of your questions. What would you like to ask someone that has biggest advocate in the world and really brought this mainstream? Probably the most hated man in the world by the vegetarian, vegan community. But what would you like to know? What facts would you like to uncover? Absolutely huge. Got a special announcement as well. We'll see you on tomorrow morning's live show. A beautiful day. If you haven't already, smash the subscribe button. Do something nice for yourself, for somebody else. Be blessed. Peace.